So death doesn't reflect reality. You know, we're always afraid of the black void. That black void. That thing. As always something as something to fear, like a shadow in the night. That business. Always thinking, well, what if? Well, what if there is no God? What happens when we die? Are we really going to just fade into darkness and just go away? You know, that black void. That thing. You see? That doesn't work in reality. That's not part of reality. That's part of a person's mind. Those ideas, those are fears. You know what I'm saying? We all have to deal with death, and by the time you've grown to a certain amount, you've already known that we've been dealing with it for some time. Death, that is. That we've been dealing with death for a certain amount of time. If you're over 50 like me, then you've already seen death firsthand quite a few times. You've seen people you love die. Or at least they look like they died. And that's what we're talking about right now. You know, the thing is, what makes us us? Are we what we are physically? These bags of meat? These bags of meat that are animated by the spark of life that no one can create from scratch, by the way, because no one but the Creator can make life. But still, that's what they want us to believe. They want us to think those three things. They want us to think those three things, and those three things is always got us trying to scrape and climb up this hill of darkness and black muck that we're just going to die and just fade away into blackness. It's not true, man. That's not how reality works. That's not how life works. That's not how life works. If you have a mother that died, do you miss the meat that she is, the flesh that she is, or what she really was? Your mother was more than just a bag of water and meat. Your dog was more than just a bag of water and meat. But what dies is just this flesh dies. But we're not all flesh. It's a part of us, yeah. Evolution, life, nature, it's all a part of this wonderful reality that we're in. But what makes us us is not flesh, and it's not just regular electrical signals in the brain like some random radio transceiver. What makes us us is us. We are a byproduct of evolution. We are spirits. We are consciousness. We are part of nature, of reality, of the real world. So if your loved ones die, if you had a son that died, and you're missing your son, and you grieve for your son, do you grieve for the flesh that he was in, or do you grieve for what he became, who he was, what made him him? And we already know that answer, don't we? Because you know what makes you you. And that's the whole little cycle of reality. You see, reality is more than what's just physical. If you look at the earth itself, just a ball of rock and water, maybe it would seem uninteresting if you just look at the ball of rock and water and don't take the glory of what it is all together. We are part of the universe together. It's not a cliche. It's real. We share the same elements, the same minerals, the same things and building blocks and atomic structures that make us. We are literally part of the world, and the world is literally part of reality. So what makes us us isn't just what you see. It's what you perceive. If you love somebody, you can't measure love with a scale. You can't put love into some kind of machine and divide it up. You can't measure love like you would water, because it's not tangible. But just because it's not tangible and measurable by certain means, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Matter of fact, love and caring, for all it's worth, is probably why we're still here, because it stops us from giving into our base desires and killing each other. See, nihilism and the black void is what people want you to think. Some people believe only what they can measure, and these people use their titles to try and brainwash you into accepting what your own instincts are telling you against. When you walk outside of your door, you see the sun in the sky. Yes, it's a star. Yes, science can just reach out and measure so much of this and so much of that, and solar flare this and solar flare that, but it doesn't change the fact that it's a ball of fire in the sky and it's warming us. The moon is the same way. A wonderful satellite that helps the earth with its tides and gravity. Sure, science can explain it, and science is wonderful because science is never wrong. Scientists are very wrong sometimes, but not science. You see, it's human error to think that everything in existence only exists if you can measure it with our paltry, simplistic ideas and values. And then people who consider themselves great men tell everybody there's no God, there's no purpose, there's no value, that we're all just products of nothingness, and that everything is accidental, and that nothing has any purpose. Your mother who died, or your father who died, spent their lives making you part of what you are. It wasn't the meat that they were made of that made you who you are. Not really. Sure, they reproduced you, but it's their consciousness, their spirit, their souls that made the impact on you, that made the wonders of what you believe and your morals and your demeanor. These things could be good and these things could be bad. Nonetheless, we are what we are, and we're far more than what you can see. If you love someone who has died, that love is still inside you. Not metaphorically, but physically, spiritually, and reality. Because when they were alive, they did things and changed the history of your family and your life. They made an impact. So, what impact did they make? What impact of value did they make? They made great impact, of course. But was it their flesh that made that influence? Was it their physical bodies that made this influence? Or was it them? In other words, who they were. Death is going to come for all of us. Me, you, your dog, your cat, your mother, your father, your girlfriend, who knows who. But one thing is for sure. Our bodies will die and be recycled in this great, wonderful reality that we live in. But we, the intangible thing that makes us us, goes on forever.